Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 239. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+, on the Dumb SEO Questions Facebook group, and you can also ask us a question via Twitter on Dumb SEO QS. With us tonight, we have Bob. Bob Jones lives in Perth, Western Australia. He is a leading digital architect, and I wish I could. I'm sure there are so many other things I could say better than that. I'll polish that up, Bob. I hope you forgive me.
Next week we'll do better.
Okay, yeah, next week we'll do better. I used to say that David Rozam is the oldest man in SEO, but now we've got Sash Meyer.
Sash, thank you. I'm glad you turned up.
You are more than welcome.
David has been a copywriter for 30 odd years, and the last 12, he's a marketing internet marketing consultant in the sunny south of the UK. Micah Fisher-Kirshner is Senior SEO Manager for Zendesk in the USA. And he's also a regular on the public speaking circuit, the SEO public speaking circuit. And Sash Meyer, hopefully will become a regular on our panel. Sash has been around
in the witness protection program.
Yes, Sash is a disaster recovery specialist, and he's been around a long, long time. I remember dealing with Sash on the old Google Help Forum.
It's been a while.
I made many good friends. Well, I made Sash, and then all the rest hated me. Anyway, our first question tonight is on page views or unique page views. It's about affiliate marketing and cost per view payments. And we were just talking in the green room before. We think that cost per view payments were last heard of about the time of Alta Vista. Anyway, Malakajuna S asks a question. He says, "Hi guys, I have a small doubt on this, and can you clarify for me?" He said, "I know CPV means cost per view. In Google Analytics, I'm not able to check the views. It's showing page views only." And he gives some data which can be seen on our Facebook group. I think it's on the Google Plus SEO Questions community. And he wants to know which one he needs to consider to pay his affiliate on the basis of a CPV model, users or page views or unique page views. Thanks in advance.
I wonder where he gets that cost per view from, because I know in affiliate marketing quite often is like when you get pop overs or pop unders, you pay per views. So I'm not sure if he's actually looking at the right thing to get his data. So he says he's paying affiliates. Shouldn't he be paying per install or something in that case? Or I might be way off here.
You'd think so. I mean, the only safe way to pay an affiliate, I think, is via a successful sale. Pay a commission on a successful sale. It's so easy. I mean, for a cent a click, you can hire people in the third world to fake traffic.
To bring your stats up now, totally. I don't know. I mean, it's tough to kind of answer the question without knowing more about where his affiliates are, what they're doing. Certainly, the concept of cost per view is hideously outdated by what, 25 years, a lot. So unless you're sending people to a cat give site or something that doesn't have a tangible customer goal like a product sale or a software install, it's not really the right way to go about it at all.
I wonder if he's.
Agreed.
I wonder
Go ahead, Bob.
I wonder if he's confused between what he's paying for his traffic. Perhaps, I don't know, because you do pay per view on your traffic, your CPV, PPV installed, your networks and stuff. So I don't know. Maybe you'll have to re-ask the question.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's the answer, Malakajuna S. If you could re-ask the question based on what you've heard so far, we'd love to address it again next week. All right, let's move on to the next. This one is from Clark Nyson on split testing on a given keyword, e.g. for the keyword search for ice cream. Clark went on to ask, if we have a landing page like domain/free-ice cream for the given keyword search, and it has been ranking for quite a while, like a year or so in the top 3. If I then decide I want to create a new landing page, domain/ice cream, to compare with the old one and to see if I can beat the old page ranking, I also don't want to rank with a landing page domain/free-ice cream when the keyword search doesn't have the keyword free. The question, if the new landing page domain/ice cream is only a tiny bit better, what happened there, than the old landing page, will it ever be switched with the new one, or will the old landing page stay as the best? I've now been waiting for over a year and the old landing page is still ranking on the given keyword, ice cream. I'm quite sure that the new landing page is better. Will the new page ever be switched out with the old one, even if it's only a tiny bit better? Does anyone have any experience with this?
Well, yeah, I mean, pages will change out. I mean, in fact, I've seen this myself even for having a homepage ranks for a specific keyword, creating a more targeted phrase, and that term will replace out what used to be showing up. The difficulty, though, is getting to the realization of what you might define as better versus necessarily the features or the functions of what Google is looking at. You might be looking at it from an on-page perspective, but you might be forgetting that a lot of people have been, say, linking to the old page, and so the trust, essentially, let's just call it trust, of what people are saying is a good page, is not necessarily then equating up to what that new page is. So it's doable, but you need to look at all the metrics behind the two pages. This can be not just like what you think is better, but how does the content look? How does it look against competitors? Is all the value behind the links there? The technical infrastructure basically of your site. So are you, for example, just say internally linking the page at least just as heavily or as focused as the previous page? There's a lot of other setup, whereas it's not just looking necessarily at the two pages at face value, which is better, but the whole underlying setup, structure, and effort behind the two to start to see that other one replace it. Doesn't always mean that all of that is needed, but depending on kind of how competitive that term is or how strongly Google is in belief of the current page, you might actually have to put a lot more effort into that to get it to replace the other page.
I think if it's not broken, don't fix it. I mean, if he's in the top 3 for over a year, the test I would do is throw in the extra keyword in his URL for a couple of weeks, see what happens, and if something goes wrong, then just revert it. I've found that Google quite often just reverts to the old state as soon as you undo whatever changes you've done in a few weeks. And yeah, like you said, all the incoming links, external, internal, you can't compare any of that stuff with a new page. Basically, the size of the page, all that stuff is completely different. So you're making too many variables in there to do a proper test, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, general.
Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
General like split testing, in that case, you have to be doing it at scale. Individually, when you're talking 2 pages, yeah, you're not really running split testing at that point. You're honestly just hoping to get the other page to do what you get the page to rank for what you want to do. Split testing has to be done at a large scale for you to be able to see those differences.
Excellent. I think we can call that an answer for Clark. Let's tweet that and we'll move on with the next. This one from Nishta Jane. Nishta said, what is the top list of images with navigation in web search called? How does Google fetch that list of links? How does Google get this? Can somebody please help me out with my query?
That depends. I mean, the carousel at the top of those images, if you scroll down, so it depends entirely on what you're looking for. If I'm looking for medieval astronomers, it'll mainly pull the images from data sources like Wikipedia. For e-commerce software, plugin repositories and sites such as Stack Overflow and wherever the repositories for those systems actually are, the compiling of that carousel is entirely arbitrary on Google's part, dependent on the topic of the search.
Yeah, and to note about that, you'll often see that I think in the example even here, the list of, in this case, e-commerce softwares doesn't match necessarily at all. Well, it has a huge difference that shows up in that carousel than what's than below in the actual search results.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when they were rolling this out more fully, comprehensively on their search results, there was a lot of differences between kind of that, and it kind of strikes a little confusion, I would say. And it's like, well, why are these here if you don't have them down below as well?
Cool. Nishta, I hope that is satisfactory for you. All right, number 4 on our run list this morning, or this evening, this morning, wherever you are, from Chris Heidelbaugh, question titled Best URL Structure. Straight away, you can see that Chris has, he's very perceptive. He said, hello, amazing SEO experts. I'm hoping I may ask a question, please. Of course you can. Chris said, I own a website for construction materials and sell nationwide. I have one main location that ships nationwide. So my question is, please, thank you so much in advance. The question, oh goodness. what is the best URL structure for a website that sells construction materials to every state? So for an example, mysite.com product/state, mysite.com/state/product, or maybe have a subdirectory folder for each state. So mysite.com state subfolder, indeed HTML. I hope you guys are following this because I'm lost. Or maybe a website talking about the services and then mysite.com/locations/state. Or maybe blog categories like mysite.com/state category/blog post talking about state projects. I hope I'm in the right spot. I send so much positive karma your way. Thank you for helping.
This is one of those age-old questions, isn't it? He's trying to rank for every single state, probably. And what I often see is they just replicate the same page over and over again 52 times. Or how many states are there? 51, 52? But that's a funny one where the URL structure, I think, it's all about content on this case. Like, what makes it specifically different for that state? You know, it's hard to rank for this kind of stuff if you want to sort of diversify, I suppose. But what do you guys think?
As far as it goes, the main danger here is the cookie cutter page. You know, 2x4s in Michigan, 2x4s in, yeah, you're going to fall on your face really, really, really quickly. I'm assuming here that you are a wholesaler and not a retailer, because unless you have physically brick and mortar outlets in those states, you're going to fall on your face with this really, really quick. So to me, the URL structure shouldn't be /product/state or /states/product. You should identify yourself as a nationwide wholesaler, and then take it from there. You have a product list and you sell everywhere. That would be my input on this. You know, anything else is very, very granular and a minefield, basically.
Yes, I mean the temptation is to try and win everything, and in trying to win everything, you might lose everything. And then I'm sure you put that in a better way, Sash. I just can't remember in my old age.
No, that's it. I mean, it's really, I mean, if you are absolutely 100% insistent on going down the state route, you can tackle the problem with canonicalization. But even that, it's still not an ideal solution. It's very, very, there's a lot of dangers associated with it of actually being pummeled by Google.
Yeah, the only thing I would probably suggest is maybe if you want to do for Google Local, get a virtual address in every single state, or get a mate that has an address there, and at least get some listings happening that way. But it's tricky otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Hello, William Rock. William Rock is an SEO from Kansas in the USA, and William's also a top contributor on the Google web search community.
Hey, why did you tell him I was a top contributor? What's wrong with you, man?
Did I miss that? I'm sorry, Sash.
Kooky
I actually told a story about it. I said I met Sash on the Google webmaster.
That's right,
community.
of course.
See, I remember things. All right, let's. I think I've tweeted that already. Yeah, I have. Damn it. Okay, let's go. We're up to number 5 on the run list, William. This one is titled Social Bookmarking from Naveen Prakash. And Naveen said, whenever I post a new article to my website, I do social bookmarking of that link in various known sites like Tumblr, Dig, Delicious, Digo, Slashdot, Bibsonomy, etc. But when I check in Google Webmasters, it doesn't show in the links to your site even after 1 month has passed. Why is this? This was on Google Plus in the SEO Questions community.
Yeah, the
Because go on.
yeah, the Search Console basically only does a representative sample, so you don't get the full list. And that representative sample is going to include links that are that they stumble across, even if it's followed. So it's a pretty large pool that they're giving you a sample set of. So don't expect us to see everything.
First of all. Second of all the usual suspects that get highly spammed with people social bookmarking, their articles on their website tend to be just not shown because it's not part of what Google really perceives as the real high value link profile. So just don't really expect those to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
Yep, anybody else? All right, Naveen, that's your lot tonight, and I hope you found that useful. Next question is from Usman Ghani in a question titled Content Format of Product Reviews. Usman asked, hi all, I need a suggestion regarding content format of product reviews. If I have a topic like the top 10 best products, write 3,000 to 4,000 words for one article and cover all products in that one article. Oh, I see. Two, write a 1,000-word article with an intro of each product, and then each product will have a separate detailed article of 1,000 to 2,000 words. Which format would you prefer? Regards from Usman Ghani.
Tricky, I think. Well, not tricky. You get those annoying websites that have the top 10 list, and then you got to click on 2, 3, 4, so they get more page views all the time. But then usability sort of goes out the window. So it really depends what he wants to get. Does he have advertisers that are going to pay him for the amount of traffic or clicks he's getting? Or does he want to be a nice guy and start ranking for, whatever he's trying to review? And it depends on how he's monetizing it, I suppose.
Yeah, and I'd also say, like, my preference will depend on the phrase that I'm searching for, actually. If I'm looking for a review of a specific product versus a review of multiple products in comparison, if I'm looking for the latest review or a review of a older version of a product, all of that is going to actually modify what I expect personally for the type of article that I hit. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I need a 3,000 to 4,000 word article. Sometimes I just am looking for very specific things, and it could be a fairly short article and be sufficient for the purposes of what I'm looking for. And that's, I know, kind of the difficult answer, but it's where sometimes it's looking at the search results and understanding, like, what does it seem like today, at least, that Google is saying is worthwhile having and showing up, and saying, okay, there's a good likelihood these are the searcher types of things people are looking for, testing it out yourself and seeing if that type of result is giving you good results based on what you've put together. But I honestly don't think there's going to be a set answer without kind of specific keyword type of results today.
You see, the thing is, and this is something a lot of SEOs kind of fail to take into consideration is that Google is really working hard on trying to identify query intent. So that's that following right on from what Micah was saying. It's like, what is your reader going to be after? Because if you're trying to play to Google, chances are you'll get it wrong unless you actually identify who you want to target with those reviews, rather than I just want to rank in Google. You're going to be fighting, an uphill battle in the dark. So there's your answer right there. You need to figure out who you're writing these reviews for. Done. What they want out of your review.
Absolutely. And going back to the number count, I think that's something from going back to the old school SEO stuff, and kind of looking at what is it today. Mike actually pointed out usability. Going back to that user, I think that's going to be your key, and that's where basically a lot of people get confused on what they have to write. Do I have to write 500 words or 3,000 words? But Micah hit it right on the nail, which is basically, if I'm looking for something on a specific topic, I'm probably not going to go through a run list. I want to know a quick little answer of what I'm looking for, and then I'll modify my query for something even more broad. If I'm looking for additional reviews or a comparison, then that's where you're going to probably come up in that. But making yourself different, right? Just like anybody else, it's important. Plus, going back to your analytics, you guys know me. I'm always talking about looking back at the keys of what that content is actually producing. If it's got everybody's getting their answer and they're liking it, or you're selling a product one after another, then you're doing the right thing with your product descriptions and comparisons. But if you're just losing them and you're not actually selling a widget, why is that widget not selling? Not looking at the 3,000 mark or 4,000 mark. Or even the 500 mark. Back to the user experience.
Yep. Anybody else? All right. Let's move on to the next. This one from Chase Rayner on Canonical. Back to the product page is the title. Chase said, if we have, or he asked, if we have an e-commerce site that has multiple filters for a product, i.e. red, yellow, pink, etc., should we do no index, no follow on the said filters, or index and point canonicals to the main page for that product?
Sorry, I just got a quick call. I didn't actually hear that.
I can.
Well, you go ahead.
Yeah, this will depend. This will depend on I think two major things. One is which search volume for said product and any specific variations of it. So red product, yellow product, pink product, etc. There's search volume. And by that I mean that's sufficient. You don't necessarily want to not have these filters no indexed. The flip side to that is the size of your website. The larger the website, the more that you do have to start to worry about your crawl budget and how well that's done. And so whether you want to make sure that Google does not crawl it, so you can effectively have them crawl the pages you care about, then that might actually be better than, say, Google crawl this page and make it the same into one functional group, because you're going to be wasting quite a bit of that budget. So the answers kind of will be a little dependent on basically the search volume for said product, as well as the size of your site.
Yeah, I think for the product themselves, if there are variables like colors and sizes, etc., for e-commerce, people will know that whatever they're looking for, there will be an option for them to select whatever version of that product they want. I wouldn't actually. I think filters, even in most e-commerce stores, will have a variable in the URL, which means it doesn't get picked up anyway. I might be wrong on that, but I would just go for, when they say blue widget or red widget, I would just try to rank for widget in location. So that's probably slightly different than what I've seen here. But I just did a quick test looking for blue shoes and red shoes. Two different sites do come up, but none of them actually use it as a point of difference, so to speak. So.
Yeah, the other thing I would look at is your product feeds as well, and how you're actually showing those products. So if you're playing with the red widget, making sure that URL that is actually showing up with a product in organic search is actually going to be that red T-shirt or red widget. Because I've seen many times where people are actually, even in the shopping feed, for example, they have all the different variations, but then when you actually go from that product feed in Google AdWords, and it says it's a blue shirt, but it's actually a red shirt. It's going to cause the person to actually have a bad experience. And so you want to make sure that if you are separating those color schemes out or variations, that you make sure that the product that you're displaying on that URL is a different color, or that actual piece.
Cool. Chase, I think that's your lot tonight. All right, let's tweet that and we'll move on to the next. This one from Kyle Hawk. It's been a while since we've heard from Kyle. He is wanting to move over to HTTPS. Kyle, Kyle said, hello, been a while since I asked a question here. He said, I have an established site that I'm wanting to move over to HTTPS. I plan on updating all links on my sitemap and also having an automatic redirect to HTTPS. It will be via a Cloudflare service. Is there anything else I need to do to ensure my rankings don't fluctuate, i.e. Google starts seeing my HTTPS site as a separate entity? Basically, I am #1 for quite a few keywords, and I just want to make sure that this move doesn't affect that. Thank you in advance, and let me know if you need more information. Who wants to give Kyle the bad news?
Moving to HTTPS rarely goes off without a hitch. I've seen that go wrong so many times. If you are going to do it, expect havoc for at least a couple of weeks, maybe longer. You do need to implement the 301s. If you can, as many of your backlinks links as you have any kind of control over need to be repointed rather than flowing through the 301. Verify the whole thing in analytics. That does tend to help, but overall, expect a rough ride if you're going to migrate.
I dropped in a URL as
Search
well.
Console.
There's a good article, Sash, I think, out on Search Engine Land, where they go through the migration of what John Mueller instructed on.
It's a decent article, but it's shaky.
Absolutely. Even the migrations I've done,
The process,
the ups and downs, and as long as there's a lot of steps in between that if you miss that one little step, it might really throw your site off. Like you said, you have a little down and back up. One other thing that people freak out on is when they switch over from HTTP to HTTPS in Search Console, when they're creating that other verified website, there's no traffic in that right away, and there's still traffic in the other one, and then that kind of dies off and then starts to flow into the new.
It starts to normalize. Also, what a lot of people are doing or trying to do is file a change of address. And the change of address in Search Console will not work because it is the same domain. It's just another version thereof.
Right.
So in then trying to force the change of address, this is something Google hasn't really publicized well enough, the fact that it won't work. So people try to force it. They start twiddling with the knobs in an effort to actually make the change of address work. And they're exacerbating the situation and just making it worse by just messing with both site versions, with 301 redirects, with all manner of things unnecessarily, because they don't understand, you know, the process, and because Google hasn't just come out and said, don't do this, it won't work, or at least not publicly enough.
Yeah. It's a scary transition, but making sure that everything's
It is.
Making sure that things set up right so you can see the data and see what's happening. Even in your analytics, I mean, you have got to go in the admin console just to change that from what you reset up in Webmaster Tools or Search Console, just to reiterate that information is going to come over as HTTPS. So, fun move, scary.
Cool.
Right. And on this note, ladies and gents, I'm going to have to jack out because I've got to go and pick my daughter up from school.
No problem.
So
Your granddaughter, Sash, or your daughter?
No, my actual daughter, well, from college, I should say. So I shall catch you guys next week. Take it easy.
Okay, mate. Thanks for your contribution.
No worries.
All right. Okay, let's tweak this one. We'll move on to the next. Kyle, I hope that was good news. I'm sorry, it's not all good news, but everybody else is facing the same issues, so you're not alone. All right, this one from Darshit Sharma, titled Interlinking Strategy in a Multi-Niche Website. And the question is simply, what should be the interlinking strategy on a multi-niche website?
I think it should be a good one.
Thank you, Oracle. Alternatively, it could be an effective one.
Well, there you go.
You've got two choices.
Or it can just completely fall apart.
I think the interlinking for multi-niche, it's the old siloing. You know, look at the top category and then just work your way down from there and see what makes it. If a category has the potential to split up in two categories, then there's your answer, I think. You just work your way down that way. If that made sense at all. It did in my head anyway.
Certainly does. It certainly does, Bob.
Well, siloing is
My head too, but that doesn't mean anything.
I think going back to siloing, though, you made a good point, Bob. You know, that goes back to your structure. It goes back to your navigation and how the content is going to be arranged throughout the website. And if you're just throwing a whole bunch of anchor text links inside of your content and it's not going to the proper pages, well, that's a bad user experience. And so you're probably going to have kind of a two-part. You're going to have customers going, well, why is it's too hard to read? You got way too many links inside here. So interlinking can be overused and underused. So, you know, building out that hierarchy. I mean, going back into maybe even a mind map. You know, a mind map works really good in this situation where you're basically putting together your hub of the homepage and then everything else in your down chain. So when you're looking at your website, you might have your services here, and then you also have your help articles here. And go on from there. So it all depends on what you're doing, e-commerce or B2B or Blogger. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Will we call it an answer, guys?
Sure.
I'm going to record that as a yes. Thank you, Bob. All right. Our next is we're up to number 10. We've got 5 to go after this one. Gaz Underhill asked a question on the Facebook group, Dumb SEO Questions. He asked a question titled Acceptable Search Result for a Small E-commerce Site. Gaz said, "Hi people, I have just performed a site search with my website. It has returned 1,140 results. Is this acceptable for a small e-commerce site? Should I be no following or no indexing certain pages?"
I'd say yes and yes.
I'd be seeing what out of that amount of pages found or results found, what are those results that are popping up? Are those tags, or are those other pages that you don't want to be in that index, or are those all product pages for your e-commerce? I think that, you know, separating that out would be powerful too.
I notice he mentions wish lists somewhere further down. Should I no follow, no index my wish list? Yes, generally I don't like the idea of people's wish lists being public and turning up in search. So I think that's a good move.
That kind of goes back to what do you want in those results and what you don't want in those results. And I think it goes back to looking up, you know, the visitor itself and what the bot's going to look at, what the visitor's going to look at. They're going to look at the same thing, and Google's going to actually kick out all of those other ones anyways by habit. But and only focus on those good pages that really provide the best result for the user, the visitor. So the more that you can streamline and protect against those, like the wish list not showing up, or, you know, you might have the simple stuff. Well, I'm blanking now. Lost my train of thought. Sorry for that. I'll come back to that.
That happens to me all the time, William. All the time. But I hate it when I go to a room to do something and then forget what took me there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not the toilet.
God.
All right.
I know that I'm the second oldest man in SEO now, but you know, I think you're coming up as the most senile man in SEO.
Early onset Alzheimer's, I guess.
Isn't that Google's the right to forget function? Is that something that's being implemented?
See, that's where you need a Google Home for the auto assistant, so you can tell the auto assistant what you're going to the next room for, and then when you get to that next room, the auto assistant can tell you what you actually needed.
Ooh.
Just thinking out loud.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good.
All right, Gaz Underhill, I hope you found that useful. Here's one from Matthew Zock. Matthew asked a question titled Creating Business Citations. He goes on to ask, he said, I have another dumb SEO question for you guys. If you have a local business that provides different services with a separate web page for each, when creating business citations, do you put in your root domain or do you create multiple citations for each service the business provides?
I think pretty simple. If you're a service provider, unless you have multiple niches, like you're a baker and a butcher and a hairdresser at the same time, which I don't think I can think of an example. It's just the main domain I would put in there. I wouldn't be trying to trick or try to game any favors of Google with location here. So business locations, they need to be name, address, phone number, I believe. Just keep it straight across the board. unless it's a different business entity.
Yeah, I'd agree with that too. I mean, it's hard to actually have all those different themes together and actually make sense for Google. They don't know really what you are. And breaking it up into those separate silos or separate sites or domains may actually, cause a different penalty. Like it depends on how aggressive you are. But at the same time, is what are these products and what services, and then you take back to an attorney. They want to have their location in all these different locations, so they'll fire up a virtual office.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's kind of a bad technique.
Yep, and I agree. I mean, if it's one business entity, one ABN or whatever the business number is in the US, Google looks at that stuff. Unless you literally have multiple businesses, then I would just stick with the one.
Excellent. Thanks, Bob. All right, let's move on to the next. This one from Ted Rinchet. He's asking, the question is titled, "The Dangers of Buying SEO Gigs on Fiverr." Ted said, "What are the dangers of buying SEO gigs on Fiverr? For example, one guy is offering, I will provide 70 PR9 do-follow backlinks for cheap. Will Google de-index my site when a flood of quality backlinks suddenly appear aimed at my site? Who said that they were quality?" Anyway, aimed at my crappy site, which has almost zero backlinks. Wouldn't the drip method work better? I think you answered your own question, Ted, but let's ask the experts.
Yeah, Fiverr, SEO, no, just don't. Unless you hate someone and you want to demolish their site, then go for it.
You might have better luck with somebody just coming out of high school versus the Fiverr move. But
yep,
going back to the links or PR9s, 70 is a good number. Depends on the price. I'd probably say I'd go after I'll give you 200 PR9s for probably less. I'll knock off $100. Just kidding. Don't go for that. No, Fiverr is a tricky one. You need to understand who your actual SEO is and what they've done, and look at some of their history. I mean, if they're a good SEO, then you're going to have good reviews on them. People are talking about them. Business owners are raving about them. Look at their LinkedIn profiles. You can't hide everything. You can put a pretty website up and say you're an SEO, and put all the nice, information that everybody else is putting up there. But it goes back to results. What are you doing for the clients? How long you've been, and are you doing a kosher job or non-kosher job?
I think this goes back to question 6 or 7, which was all about social bookmarking. That goes in the same bucket for me.
I liked William's suggestion.
Are pretty horrible, aren't they, to actually answer the question? The dangers are that your site will sink, never to be seen again.
Well, plummet is probably a better word.
Plummet. Oh, that's 2 syllables. I can't use 2 syllables.
I did like William's suggestion of hiring a uni student on holidays to do outreach. I think that has merit.
I think the only thing on Fiverr that is sort of worth something is all the other stuff, basically. Stay away from the link building stuff, but there are some decent article writers on there if you need articles or content for something, or proofreaders, or even some decent designers. So yeah. Fiverr isn't a bad site. It's just like it has bad services within certain areas, and links are one of the easiest things that people think are going to fix their website and their ranking, and it's always the worst, the biggest problem they buy, basically.
Absolutely. And I've used Fiverr for other things like cartoon characters or video production where I can give them all the raw footage and they can actually do all the editing for me. And you can save a lot of time and save a lot of money doing that. But then going back to the links, I would encourage this person to also do a Google search for Google Penguin algorithm updates. And get a long list of all the way back to when they first started really demoting these links and where it is today.
Yeah, and as soon as somebody starts advertising with PageRank, just walk away. Go buy an ice cream with that $5.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's a good way to spend that $5.
Or a Happy Meal.
All right. Okay. Joshua Wells asked a question titled Silo Structuring and Better Interlinking. This sounds very much like a question we've already answered tonight. So we should, with that practice, we should do an even better job with this one. Joshua asked, hey, thanks for creating this awesome group. You're welcome, Joshua. He said, I have a few questions actually. One, I have a website with sub-navigation pages. However, the parent navigation for the ones with sub-pages is not clickable. I just put no index on them. But now the URL structure is like 3-tier. Does that matter for SEO? And two, I'm trying to learn silo structuring and better interlinking. On the website mentioned above, should my sub-pages be pages or posts for siloing? Currently, my sub-pages are pages. Does it matter as long as the pages are interlinking properly? And three, does silo structuring really even matter much for SEO?
This one's a bit more complete, I think, this question, which is good. So the problem of having your top navigation button where it actually dives into whatever should be under that category, what I like to do is I actually do create a page under that. And that page is going to be generic, not generic, but it's going to be an informative page about all the stuff that's basically in the category. So it's a big descriptor of the category with internal links going back to those pages anyway, or those product pages. Because I hate to waste, if I can put a good page in somewhere, I'll put a good page in. I'd hate to waste the opportunity of having a top navigation link not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think it helps. Well, if you do it properly, I think it helps the user experience, the reader experience. It keeps it makes things clearer. They're not going to click through to something that's going to be not quite what they think it is by just looking at one or two words on the menu parts. I don't like having gaps either. I think it's just for me. It just removes some of the continuity of the site, for want of a better expression. So yeah, as it is, the question says the URL structure is like 3-tier. Does that matter for SEO? Possibly not at the 3-tier that much, but if you start sticking another couple of tiers on, you might start finding that Google doesn't appreciate having pages that many clicks away from the home page. But you know, if you're going to do decent siloing, hopefully you should be able to avoid having a site that goes many tiers down into the underworld. Yeah,
well, that's where it gets dangerous. You got it too far, and you can't really find it. You know, Google's going to find it, but then at the same time is that user experience. You know, goes back to where are they going, how are they getting there, what is the structure and the content, right? So if I'm talking about a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you yeah, you're going to probably separate the jellies into different types of jellies, and then you've got tons of different peanut butters, like almond peanut butter. So you're going to have all those different variations under those tiers, but then you're going to have those landing pages that are basically going, like Bob said, you have the structure where you're explaining that page of peanut butter, so to say, and safety hazard, whatever you want to talk about, but then throw this sub-navigation where you're actually sending the traffic to those related pages for a parent, say, to go, okay, I have peanut allergies. Boom, they're right there on the peanut allergy section. That might be 3 or 4 levels down, but you're still giving a higher level link on that landing page to that tier, so the bot can still get to it and the people can still get to it.
Cool. Right, let's move on. I hope
one other piece to that.
And that good.
One other piece of that
feedback from. Sorry, go ahead, William.
Yeah, one other piece of that would be, as you're siloing this up and breaking out down the levels, checking your analytics and go back and do some checks and figuring out what they're doing. Look at the visitor flow model, for example, and say, okay, they're at this tier, watch them go through it, or use simple things like Lucky Orange, which is a heat map study, where you can actually see visually where they're going in that silo and see if they're getting to the proper location that you want them to, depending on your content. So there's a lot of different things you can check, but definitely check your analytics to make sure you're on the right path.
Thank you, William. All right, this one from Neil Cheeseman, that's titled "Stay Longer on Page 1 in the Organic Search Engine Result Pages." Neil asked, has anyone any suggestions as to how to get news items for competitive keywords/phrases to stick for longer on page 1 in the organic search engine result pages? For example, one news post this week ranked at position 4 with a click-through ratio of 9.43%, 50 impressions and 5 clicks. Stayed there for 1 day and then dropped. Now the page doesn't rank in the top 200. This is a common pattern for competitive key phrases. This is for competitive search terms. But why do the terms rank well for 1 day and then drop? For lesser competitive search terms, the items often stick on page 1.
I think the keyword here is news. So competitive news, if there's something new, it's going to have to replace the old news. Whereas if you have something that's not really interesting, there's not much news coming out to replace the old news. I think that's the whole point.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right, I reckon. Let me tweet that and we'll move on. Right, this is question 15 from Ki Guang. Ki Guang is thinking about becoming an SEO freelancer. Ki Guang said, any SEO freelancers in the group? She's referring to the Dumb SEO Questions group on Facebook. Ki Guang said, I'm learning about SEO and thinking about becoming an SEO freelancer. I want to know if it is possible to earn a full-time income this way. What are the ways to earn money doing SEO freelancing? I'm guessing that the first way is to make a website about my SEO service and try to rank that website to the top so that people and companies can find and use my SEO service. Is this a possible way? Would my clients be limited to my own country, or would they be international? The other way I can think of is to find work through Upwork. How hard is it to find work there? I heard that some people could earn a lot just by freelancing through Upwork. Is that true? The third way I can think of is selling an SEO gig like Fiverr and or other marketplaces. I lost my place there. Let me just try and get it back. But on Fiverr, the gigs are very cheap, so I would not earn much. And most SEO gigs on Fiverr are not that effective. So maybe there are better online marketplaces where you can provide high quality SEO services and charge a bit more. Above are the 3 ways I can think of on how to become an SEO freelancer. I'm not sure if they really could work out, or are there other ways to be an SEO freelancer and earn a full-time income?
Interesting question.
Certainly framed well.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a good opportunity. It's a challenging industry to be in, but it's very, very fruitful too. I don't actually belong to any one of those groups that you mentioned. I used to do a lot of the freelance on some of those websites, and I made a decent amount of money. But throughout the years of doing this, clients come and go, you know. But at the same time, this reputation is key. If you're providing a good service, a solution for somebody's problem, where they're, you know, and you're doing a good job, that's gonna be radiated across in your location, in your country, or your state, that this is the person you need to talk to every time. And you know that chatter goes through a chamber of commerce. Other business owners hear about that, and they're gonna go and figure out who you are. Look you up on the internet. But a website's not going to be the only thing, I would say. It's your social, you know, being engaged with other SEOs as well, and learn it. You know, learn with that. Challenge your brain.
I think the way to go forward is, like, if you really want to become an SEO freelancer, think twice. But if you want to do this, it's not about having a website. It's not about getting found by people, because you're going to go up against people that have been doing this for 20 years. The best way to do this is word of mouth, which means I would probably start reaching out to some friends and acquaintances that might have stores or shops or websites or even schools or whatever, and say, hey, I would like to do some work for you guys, and I'll do it for free. And what happens there is, like, if you actually do a proper job, it becomes your living resume, and people start referring actual paid work to you at that stage. That's probably how I would do it. I'd stay away from the Fiverrs, and I'd stay away from the Upworks, because, you know, there's so many people out there that are offering SEO as a service there. If you're a newbie, then you've got a very, very limited chance of actually getting any traction.
Yeah, and as you're getting into the industry, make sure not to read a lot of the old articles. Those used as reference. There's a lot of things have changed in the last few years, and it's always an evolving industry. So it's what you know now will not be what is actually real next. You know, a couple months from now, you're going to be learning something completely different. But the foundation of marketing, it will never change. You know, you're marketing a company, doesn't matter if it's a bread shop or a telecommunication company.
Yep. I think Belinda says it well there. Don't do it because you do it for the money. Do it because you actually love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of addicted to search engine stuff and technology, and so I'm always in this stuff. So yeah, you have to have a passion for it, and I like your idea about doing something for free too, because you know that's a lot of things. Or even going with some of their charities. You know, work with a charity; they need help.
Yep.
You know, you can work on your skills with them, and they'll be grateful for it as well. So you're doing it.
And they're good brands. Charities are often good brands. People know them. So you know, as soon as you say, well, I've worked for charity X, Y, and Z, oh, cool, and there you go. So,
yeah, there's one thing I just thought of as a downside to freelancing on Fiverr, and that would be, I mean, given that the internet, as you know, nothing ever dies on the internet. It's always there, and people will investigate you if they're considering hiring you.
yeah.
So you don't want people asking you the question, why are you now wanting to charge me $150 an hour when you used to do the same job on Fiverr for $5?
Because you can do it quicker now.
Anyway, let's.
Now, one other tip, though, if I could, would be, she's talking about getting into the industry, but do a Google search for Google Webmaster Academy. And it's basically a good little tutorial that Google has put together that might give you a little head start on what they're saying that they like to have, and just basically good tips and tricks on what you can do for businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of education out there that Google provides.
Okay. Let's move. Oh, it's that time again. We've done it again, guys. We've answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+, on the Facebook group, Dumb SEO Questions, and also you can ask a question on our Twitter handle, Dumb SEO QS. Thank you for your interest in what we do. You know, your participation makes what we do worthwhile, and for that we're most grateful. We'll be back at the same time next week to do this all again. But for now,